I know I am just a character in a movie, so why do I still suffer? I got a message from Peter, and I get these messages a lot. People read my books and they just write me messages like, I get it. I really get it. This is not real. I know I'm just a character, and so why is this still happening to me? So, in a nutshell, you are not the character in a movie. There is an identification with the character, and that's why you suffer. And so let's really unwrap this in here, not from some non-dual ideology or perspective. Let's just really take a closer look at this.
Welcome to Live and Vibe.
My name is Lev Kisper. I am a best-selling author and transformational coach in the field of non-duality. And I work with exhausted spiritual seekers and self-help enthusiasts who have been on the spiritual path or the healing path for some time, and they still feel like there is something missing. And on this channel, we talk about embodied freedom. So it's not just about some insights, some comforting words. This is really about taking action in reality, really engaging with reality and feeling, as opposed to just taking action from that self that is constantly trying to fix itself. So yeah, this whole idea about being a character in a movie and identification, it's been flying around for thousands of years. But there's a lot of misconception. And when I guide my clients, it's actually very systematic. We're just looking. And so I want you today to explore this with you. I want to show you what is actually hiding underneath beyond the concepts and ideas. So you can actually look for yourself. And of course, the mind can twist it into so many different stories. But my intention here is to really look for yourself, because that's the only way really to see some truth in it. And this is not to get rid of the character. This is the opposite, because the mind always hears whenever there is, somebody says, oh, the you is not real, there is no self. Of course, the self-identity hears, there shouldn't be me, and therefore I need to get rid of myself. So this is not what we're doing in here. We're simply looking, and it's very powerful when we simply look. So yeah, a lot of people say, well, I know that I'm just a character. So this character, it's not only that it's not real, but it exists in this personal reality, which is just imagination, really. It is a story. It is not an identity. It is not an identity that exists somehow this moment. It is a story that only exists in the past and in the future. It has a past, it has a future projected from the past, it has a story. And this character has as much to do with you as you have to do with a Snow White or a Harry Potter. It simply has nothing to do with you, but the illusion is that the voice, the thoughts, it speaks in I. So there's this identification, and there's images about the past where we believe that everything that happened influenced the character that we believe we are now. So everything that happened before, maybe that was painful, or at times when we felt unsafe or unloved, it is all projected into the future. So immediately there is a projection about what will happen, and it's already believed. And so this is exactly how the suffering happens. Suffering never happens in reality. It doesn't happen without the character. It's just what is. Sensations arise, colors, and it's not even an experience. But the identification means that now I think I am that character, and therefore this character has a very predictable future. And the predictable future happens because of the past. And so, for example, I give you an example. If you failed in the past about something, of course, next time there is a new situation and it's similar, there will be a fear, which is basically a story about the future that it will happen again. And the story is so sneaky and so insidious that even without noticing, the story tells you exactly how you're going to fail. There's an image and story already. Obviously the whole thing is happening in your imagination, that we can't help but not react to that because the identification is so strong. For the identity, everything happens to me. And when it's not questioned, when these stories are not questioned, of course, they affect everything what I do and everything what I don't do, all the action and all the inaction. And that's how there is suddenly anxiety and stress. It's all about worrying about something that we think will happen and the consequences it will have on us in the future. And it's a very painful experience. And then, as that wasn't enough, there is another part, the character, which is like another layer on top of it, because the character is not just a story. It's also somebody who wants to fix itself constantly, because obviously it comes from lack. It comes from, it's an illusion. So there's always feel of lack, something's missing. So the whole story, the whole agenda behind the character is to fix itself, is to find some freedom in the future. And it's constantly searching for it, either emotionally, in relationships, searching for approval, likes, love. It's searching for security. It's searching for truth and spiritual enlightenment. This persistent future event where finally I will feel peaceful permanently. So its qualities, the search, and it always has intention about anything that is doing. But it's the same part of you that I say part of you. Obviously, it has nothing to do with you, but sometimes when I speak to clients, I speak in this way because it's easier to understand. So it's the same part of you that is coming from lack. It perpetuates lack. It basically creates all these problems, and it's the same part that is trying to also fix itself. So it's like this loop, and problem fixing, and on top of that, there is then another layer, which means that it is trying to resist also what is. It thinks that what's happening to itself, it's not correct. So there's another layer of, well, it shouldn't be happening that way. I shouldn't be feeling that way. I should be already further along on my path. There's constant, like, this is not it. There's always something else. And that creates that suffering. Those projections about the future and the consequences that will happen to me. Even when it's something about other people, it always comes down to me, the self. Even if something is supposed to happen to my husband, for example, like, I'm already suffering, not because something will happen to him, but what I imagine what will happen to me if something happens to him. Like, suddenly maybe I'm going to be alone, and it's just so unbearable. Like, there's just so much suffering in daily interactions, daily experience. It's a normal experience to suffer. People think that suffering is something that is just, this torture, but it's not. Often it's very quiet. It's like this, I'm fine. I'm just tolerating things. I settle for things. It's basically lack of freedom in it, complete lack of freedom, because we don't think that there is anything else, any other else opportunities or choices. So, and it's all because of that identification. So as long as you are believing that you are the character, and obviously the character is just always missing something, something's wrong with it, then the suffering will perpetuate. And as I said already in the beginning, it doesn't mean that, the more you try, the self, the character cannot do anything to fix itself. Nothing. I mean, absolutely nothing. The only way is to jump out of the whole story. And unless you start really looking deeply into this, you will not realize how sneaky this identification is. Like the moment you think, oh, now I'm fine, everything is great, everything is going well in my life, finally, I have achieved some sort of peace. Again, it's still the identification talking that way, just so you get to avoid the deeper work, which always involves feeling the suppressed feelings that haven't been allowed to be expressed. So it's never just an intellectual understanding. And if you are really interested to see how sneaky the self-identification is, because as long as you are not aware, it's just running the whole show, basically. And sometimes it tells you that you're miserable, and sometimes it tells you that you're better than everybody else. And it's still just stories on top of stories. So recently I have written a small, tiny little book, which is called What Kind of Spiritual Seeker Are You? And this book basically has a quiz inside that you can take and really find out for yourself. Because everyone has different kind of seeker that they identify with without knowing. I know that a lot of people, they embark on this spiritual journey or self-improvement with really great intentions, to look for freedom and truth and love and just freedom and liberation. But somewhere along the way, the sneaky identity, the mind just turns it into a performance. And so a new identification happens, a new identity, self-identity happens out of that spiritual search and that endless trying to fix itself. And it's based on these spiritual ideals. And of course, it just perpetuates the journey, making sure that you never arrive to which you desire the most, which is either the freedom or just peace or just being okay, whole. And so, yeah, if you take the quiz, it will basically save you years in healing practices, meditation, search, not just a spiritual search, but really search for approval and all kinds of searches that we look for without knowing we're even looking for it. And it will help you to just find it where you are, exactly where you are. So if you would like to take this quiz, you can just download this book for free. It's in the link in the description. And if you have any questions regarding this, then you can also send me a message either through my website or just leave it here in the comments. And I will be making these videos to answer those questions. So thank you so much for being here.
What kind of spiritual seeker are you? This quiz might show